All right, so I guess we'll need to reintroduce
Please,
ourselves.
if you would, Warden, would you introduce yourself and have your staff introduce themselves?
Okay, Morgan LeBlanc, Deputy Warden at LCIW.
Tara P, ARDC Manager. Anthony Gaddy, ARDC Supervisor.
Shalita Brown, Lieutenant.
Thank you very much. Our next case is going to be Ms. Pamela Griffin. Ms. Griffin, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Pamela Lachelle Washington Griffin, 312-312.
Ms. Griffin, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a pardon interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll allow those persons who wish to speak to have their input. Speaking today on your behalf is Mr. Norris Henderson, and in opposition, Mr. Jason Harris, who is the victim's brother, as well as George Dozat and Maureen Harris are present, but not speaking. At the end of that hearing, you'll have an opportunity to give us, to say what you'd like to say to the board before we vote. Do you understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Pamela Griffin, DOC number 312312. Her date of birth is August the 12th of 1968. She's classified as a first felony offender. She is currently serving a life sentence on the charges of first-degree murder, aggravated battery, and forgery. Ms. Griffin, does that sound accurate?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Okay, Ms. Griffin, how old are you?
54,
Okay, and how long have you served on this charge?
32 years.
What is your educational level?
I got a GED.
Okay, Ms. Griffin, tell me what happened. What was going through your mind that evening? What was the deal? What led you to shooting two different men? One of them you didn't even know.
Well, me and the guy, we was smoking cocaine in the woods, and I just tripped out. I shot him, and as I was leaving out the woods, I had a wreck, and the guy that I had shot had a wreck in his truck. And as I was coming down the road walking, after I got out of the wreck truck, and the next man had stopped me, and I ended up shooting him, and I ended up in El Dorado, Arkansas. I went to a friend's house, and I had told my friend what I did and asked him to go get the police for me.
And why would you shoot him? I mean, why did you shoot the first man, the man that you went out there with? Y'all was doing drugs, correct?
Yes, sir. And I was just
And
high.
then you got out the truck. What led you to just shoot him? What events led up to that?
I was just high, tripping. When you tripping high, thinking something was happening, it maybe hadn't happened, but I was just high.
And the other man was the same reason, even though he just stopped as a good Samaritan, you were high and you was tripping and you shot him too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what kind of drugs do you take or were you taking?
Crack cocaine.
Okay, how long did you use crack cocaine? From what age?
Probably since I was about like 15, 16 years old.
Did you ever use anything beside crack cocaine?
I drunk, smoked weed, drank hard liquor, beer, smoked weed.
Okay, have you ever received any treatment?
No more than since I've been incarcerated.
What have you taken since you've been incarcerated?
Took substance abuse. I did anger management. I did Project Metamorphosis. I did parenting. Basically, all the self-help program groups that they have.
So basically, the only drug treatment you've received is the substance abuse.
Yeah, the NAAA and relapse group.
What did you learn from them?
Well, I learned that my drug use was really, it causes a lot of damage, and I realized that how drugs stimulate your mind and cause you to do things that you normally wouldn't do.
Have you taken any victim classes?
No, sir.
No victim class. Okay.
But she's backlogged for that. She's only been back at LCIW for less than 30 days. So she is on the list to have that class taken.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Morgan. How many children do you have?
2 sons.
Do you have contact with them?
No, sir.
Yeah, looking at the comments, the 2 judges had no comment. Well, 1 judge was unopposed. District attorney is opposed. The sheriff, they got a mess up right here because they got 1 statement where he's opposed and 1 statement where he's unopposed. No comment from the chief of police. Your family's unopposed. Victim impact statement, I'm going to get to that at the end. Do you consider yourself a drug addict?
Well, once an addict, always an addict, but I'm a recovering drug addict, and I don't have the desire to use drugs anymore.
Okay, what could be your transition plan and your sobriety plan?
I was going to the Diamond House to transition home, and for them going over there, because I know they'll be able to help me to transition back into society.
Okay. Where are you going to live? I mean, at this house you're going to live at? How long can you stay there?
I'm not sure. They said 6 months.
Where you'll stay after that?
Well, hopefully that I'll, after being transitioned back into society, I'll be able to work my way up and got my own place and reestablish in a different location other than where I was once lived.
What contributions have you given back to the community? What have you done while you've been in prison to help others?
Well, only thing I've been doing so far is just word of advice. Because I only just got back to LCRW. I haven't really get off into anything like programs to really reach back, but I planned on while I'm here.
Do anything before the flood?
Okay. You have a low risk score. Your need score is moderate. You've had a bunch of write-ups since you've been in prison. I think the last one was in 2019.
Yes, sir.
For defiance. Why you had all these write-ups? Over 137.
Well, when I came in as a young 23-year-old girl with a life sentence, and I just basically was giving up on life.
Okay, but your defiance was in 2019. That's not that long ago.
No, that was
What has made you change since that time?
well, I have grown and gotten myself together, and I'm just not the same person I used to be.
Warden, why is a prison record fair and something else medium? A security level was medium. What went into those 2 factors?
Since the flood, we really haven't been screening anybody. We just started screening for minimum status because we hadn't had any road crews or anything of that nature. She maybe would, at this point, since she has been report free, probably qualify for at least 3 at this point, but we just haven't been screening, and she's just been back less than 30 days. So we would do that within 45 days or so.
Okay, I think, some of the victims that could talk in this case, what would you say if you had a chance to, talk to your victim?
I would let them know that I'm very remorseful for what I did. And I just, hope and pray that they can find it in their hearts to forgive me.
Okay. How many years have you spent in DOC institutions?
I only been left from here for like 4 years, so the rest of the time was spent here at DOC, 31.
Mr. Harris said he thinks about his brother every day. That's one of the victim's brother. He said that the crime ruined his mother's life, as she had never got over losing her oldest son. And he used to play golf all the time with his brother, and now he can't even hardly play golf. So you see the effects that you have on the community and different families?
Sir,
How many years, you said you spent in different state institutions?
I've been here, I was only there 4 years in another institution, then the rest of my time I was at LCIW.
Because like I say, you have very, very few classes for someone that's been in prison for 32 years. And very few that hit to the point as to what led to your crime. Mr. Marabella, I'll have a recommendation at the proper time. I have no further questions.
Warden, I realize that she hadn't been there very long, but what can you tell us about her that we haven't discussed today?
She has been down with us close to 30 years. And just because she's came back within the last 20 days or so, we have her on some backlog for some classes, the reentry class, the victim awareness, and living in balance as well. Prior to the flood, not many people were applying to go to the boards. So you didn't have, for lifers, you didn't have the opportunity to be in classes as much since the flood. And then since that time, she was not housed with us. She was at Plaquemines Parish. So she did miss some opportunities for additional classes that opened up, but she is on the backlogs. And I did want to point out that she does have a good reentry plan, as she's going to work with this other group, on her housing and her reentry on the first few months when she gets out.
Thank you, Warden. Mr. Roche, you have a question?
Yes, good morning, Ms. Griffin. How are you?
I'm all right, just a little nervous.
Let's talk about your disciplinary record. On the last annual assessment report that was done in I think May of 2023, you have 137 write-ups, but it's more than that. Some days you had multiple write-ups. I counted over 150 disciplinary write-ups in your 30 years of incarceration. Tell me why you can't follow rules and regulations.
Like I said, the time of those write-ups, some of those write-ups, I was young, and some, like I said, with having a life sentence, it's kind of like you give up hope. You feel like all hope is gone, but I haven't been getting any write-ups lately.
How old are you, Ms. Griffin?
54.
So 4 years ago, you were a lady of 50 years old, and you got a write-up in 2019. Multiple write-ups in 2019. a person that has been incarcerated for 25 years, 50 years old, should not have that many write-ups that close to this hearing.
Sir.
So you can't use the excuse you're young, immature, and you just was incarcerated. You had write-ups in 2019?
The write-up I have got in 2019 was a write-up that I had staged a fight to get shipped, because it was the only way you could get shipped at the time, and I had needed a change. I was just under so much pressure.
So why would you stage a fight?
I mean, because we just to be shipped was we really wasn't fighting. It was just seems to be.
So what about the defiance in 2019? What was the defiance about?
The defiance.
February 2nd, 2019.
The defiance. I think that was the report.
January 19th, aggravated disobedience. February 19th,
I don't quite.
2019,
Well,
we
I
had
remember that.
30. Oh, so what was those about?
I think I got in trouble for going to school. I would think that's the one I got in trouble for going to school late. Is that the
Yeah,
one?
it was a GED.
Yeah, I got in trouble for being late for school. that
Warren
week.
Morgan, Warren
Uh-huh.
Morgan, what is a 30-0?
I see it. It was a heated argument. Her and another offender were having a heated argument on that day near the Votech area.
And what was the defiance for it?
It was something at the, looks like that was the same day, and she was given a direct order. I guess this was after the initial write-up, and then when she got to the cell block area, it looks like.
And then she had one on January 19th for aggravated disobedience.
Yes, that was, an argument with another offender that she didn't, comply with immediately.
So pretty much the same behavior over and over again.
Yes,
Thank you, Warren.
the one on 119, 2019 was suspended for 45 days.
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now we'll hear from your supporters. Two other persons have joined us, Ms. Wanda Hughes and Ivy Mathis, who I believe wish to speak. Is Wanda Hughes present? Wanda Hughes? Do we have?
She didn't show up here. Maybe she's there.
She's not on Zoom either.
Is she on?
She was supposed to be maybe on Zoom.
Do we not have her? This is supposed to be people who are in the visitors room there with y'all. Is that is Ivy Mathis there?
Yes. Yes, Ivy's here with us.
Okay, are you Ms. Mathis?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. What would you like to say, ma'am?
Good morning. I am the reentry specialist with Vote Over Diamond House. And I've grown up with Miss Pam. I am just as impacted myself. I know that we have an excellent reentry plan for her should she be granted. We are willing to work with Ms. Griffin to help her be successful after incarceration. We are partnered with Catholic Charities who assign case management and help her get addressed, help her get acclimated, back into society. And I want to just say this, that growing up in prison is hard adjusting. And I'm not making excuses. And people do change. We are willing to work with Ms. Griffin every step of the way. And I know we initially said 6 months, but it's case by case, and she can stay there up to a year, as long as she needs to, in order for her to not only be successful, but be independently successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now we'll hear from Mr. Norris Henderson.
Good morning. Just like Ivy said, after attending the graduation at LCIW and realizing the need that the ladies needed a place to go, we created the Diamond House. And just like Ivy said, welcome to stay there up to, the norm is 6 months, overhead free, but given our circumstances, maybe a year. And I just want to address the thing that Mr. Freeman and Mr. Roche was talking about the write-ups. And I kind of started laughing when I started hearing about the one incident. And I wasn't laughing it was funny, but because I used to inmate counsel. And so I presented people in disciplinary court. And when we would see situations like that, we would call them 357s. They would start off probably with a disrespect, then they get aggravated disobedience, then it would kind of like escalate to a defiance. And it's primarily because in that heated moment, this person just keep running their mouth. And as they're running their mouth, the sergeant is just steady, kind of like just taking it on to them. And so not to kind of like justify the behavior, but sometimes they put their foot in their own mouth by not just shutting up. And so when Ms. Roche was like, well, all these happen on the same day, it primarily stemmed from the same incident. Somebody told her to shut it up, and so she just kept running her mouth. But the other thing too, that Ivy told me that Ms. Griffin is a seamstress. And so one of our partners, who's also formerly incarcerated, who actually has a business in Hammond, Louisiana, and is looking for a seamstress. His name is Keith Amity, and he owns Amity Creative Creations in Hammond, Louisiana. And he's willing to give her a job because he has a contract with the Hammond Police Department, altering their clothes and sewing the patches and stuff on their uniforms. And he would definitely welcome her to be one of his employees, given the fact that she is successful with getting a recommendation. I also heard the warden say that because she was outside of LCIW, she missed opportunities to get a lot of programs. And I would just offer the board that, given the fact that you're looking for how to have some more programs, that given a recommendation, that one of the criteria could be is that finish these programs, because it's going to be like a 6-month process before she may get something back from the governor, good, bad, and indifference. But it would kind of like put her on the track to give y'all what y'all need in a sense of the academic stuff she needs to accomplish before she leaves. So it's be kind of like the stick or the carrot, Here's the carrot. If you accomplish these things, you're fine and dandy. If you don't, it ain't my fault, And so I would just hope that the board would consider that, one, her age, the amount of time she's been incarcerated. And when I calculated, Ms. Roche said she had 150 write-ups over 31 years or 30 years. That's like 5 write-ups a year. And I would venture to say the vast majority of them probably in the early stages of her incarceration, although 2019 wasn't that far away. But I would just ask that the board kind of like give an opportunity, because one of the things that we never actually have things in place for women coming out and now we finally do. And this is an opportunity for us to continue to help her. Catholic Charities is one of our partners that provide wraparound services that they need. And I would just, like I say again, just hope that the board would consider that some of these things that she may be lacking in, that the board challenge her to do these things in this interim. If she gets the recommendation, fine. If she don't, she still achieved the thing that y'all put her on course to achieve. Thank you.
Are you ready for the victims, Mr. Marable? Okay, I can't hear y'all. If you only just let the victims start talking, nod, and I'll let them start talking, but we can't hear y'all. Go ahead, Mr. Harris.
Yes, good morning. My name is Jason Harris. I have my father, Ray Harris, here. My mother, Maureen, could not make it. All of this coming up, her anxiety levels just up, and it's gonna be too hard for her to attend something like this. I've heard what everybody's been saying. My brother had only been married for 7 days. We did stuff every weekend. And what took place that day was senseless, horrific. And a person that commits that kind of crime does not need to be allowed out in society ever again for no reason. And y'all saying she's been written up over 150 something times. And now there's schools available and classes. Well, after 32 years, I think that's 32 years way too late. I have to think about this every single day of my life, that it was just me and my brother. And some of the stuff that they said when all this proceedings went down back when he was murdered, I had something, I don't remember what it was, up that I was supposed to have been with him that day. So more than likely in her frame of mind, we probably both would have gotten murdered. She already tried it once before him. So no, absolutely not. She got life without parole, and that's the way I see it should be, because I don't have my brother. Dad, you got something you want to say? Can't even believe this is happening.
She has showed no remorse whatsoever.
That's all from the family, Mr. Marable.
Next to them, I can't hear if they're talking. It's Pete.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to
have technical difficulties.
again?
Yes, ma'am.
As long as they know.
Mic check. Yeah, it looks like we're having some more technical difficulties here. I have the transcript that we'll go over after this hearing, and then I think we can do a second one after this one. Let's see for now if I could fast forward through here.
They working on it.
As long as they know we're not sitting here not.
Thank you, Carl.
Now,
Okay, good. We've got you on the phone. Our system is not working the way it needs to be. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to ask Ms. Griffin to give us her statement, and then the board will vote. Ms. Griffin, if you would like to say anything to the board, would you please let us know what you'd like us to know?
I just want to say that, like I said, I'm very remorseful for what I did. And I take very accountability for what I did. I was young, I was on drugs. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it. I would probably think different if I was in the mind frame that I am now. And I can't take back what I did, but I just pray that the board have mercy on me and allow me a chance just to prove that I can be a productive citizen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Is the board ready to vote? Yes, Freeman? Okay, Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Ms. Griffin, you know, the big problem I got is that he shot one man and shot another man that was a good Samaritan trying to help him to serve 32 years, but you hardly taken any class. So, my vote today would be to deny, but tell you that you take those classes, get some long-term substance abuse, at least take victim awareness, and then reapply. But today I vote to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Jackson?
Hi, Mr. Griffin. I concur with my colleague. I'm sure your state of mind was impacted by the pain. That's not an excuse. I do convinced that from some more programs. So my vote today, likewise, is to deny.
Mr. Roche?
Griffin, based on an express opposition to the DA's office and law enforcement, adamant opposition to the victim's family in a disciplinary conduct that's unacceptable. My vote is to deny your request.
Ms. Griffin, you have received 3 votes to deny your request. I agree with my colleagues. Your request today has been denied.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if everyone else can hear me. I'm head shaking, so hopefully everybody can hear what our decision was. So good luck to you, Ms. Griffin.
Thank you.
we'll hang up now, thanks.
I gotta tell us the time.
Oh. All right, thank y'all. We'll still get you in those classes, because he did say to reapply. So if you get the classes done, and you still work with Ms. Ivy.
Right there at the end, that was the first tissue I had noticed being pulled out of that tissue box. There's something about this case that just doesn't sit right for me. I think that we're looking into the eyes of a sociopath. It's just an opinion. I don't have degrees. my guess is as good as any other uneducated YouTuber. I just saw no emotions. I saw no connection. I saw nothing. It's like as if she was talking about a bad day at the park. She shot 2 men. One of them ended their life, and it was just like, I don't know, whatever. If I could go back, I wouldn't do it again. That classic saying. It's such a weird line. It's such a dumb line. I don't know why so many say it, because it's so empty of anything. If I could go back, I wouldn't do it. If I could go back, I would change everything. No, of course you would. Why wouldn't you? What? So here it is. On August, and we'll do another hearing after this, another quite interesting one. So we're going to do 2. But on August 25th, 1991, Pamela Griffin met Gary Braggs at the house of a friend after socializing together. Okay, so then Braggs drove in his pickup out into the woods where they parked. And they wanted to intend in some fun. So they took out their Pepsi Cola. They did what you do with Pepsi Cola. Then they undressed and they began to, do what you do with Pepsi Cola. And after about the two hours, Griffin got out of the truck, telling Braggs that she needed to use the restroom. When she got to the back of the truck, she asked Braggs to join her and told him she thought she heard something. So now she's doing premeditated stuff, right? Actually, we find out that she started doing premeditated that set the moment she said she needs to go to the bathroom. As he leaned over looking through the bushes, that's when she bangs and back of the head with the thing that goes bang, bang. I'm sorry for all of the Pepsi Cola verbiage, but YouTube is just attacking my channel. I say something wrong. It used to be that I can appeal, and within like 3 to 5 days, they would, correct the ratings of YouTube. I now have uploads that are waiting on maybe 20 days where they just haven't reviewed them. It's like, they're just like, we don't really care about Mandu. It's a crazy system. YouTube is definitely getting worse by the week, in my experience. Anyways, underneath, so looking through the bushes, she shot him she went bang in the back of the head with a bang bang, and she had taken from underneath the truck seat. So that was the premeditation. When she said she went to the bathroom, she took out the weapon. She said, "Oh, I thought I heard something." He went to go look. She said, "Hey, go look over there." And then when he was looking, he went bang. He fell to the ground. That wasn't enough. She walked up back to him again and went bang again into his head. How he survived, beyond probably anyone. He played unalive, right? Then she jumped into the truck and drove off. When the car drove off, he got up and ran away. And this stuff always blows my mind. You can have someone who can be wearing body armor, who can be in the best shape of their life, who gets hit from some random thing through 2 walls and hits an artery and they're done. And then you have another man who gets nailed twice in the head and he gets up and runs away. And it's just the craziest thing. So through the woods to a nearby house to search for help. He was naked, just wearing tennis shoes. So that man who must have saw this naked man in tennis shoes with those head wounds, that must have been a scary moment. But so the occupants of the house called the police. Meanwhile, Griffin, also naked, continued her escape. So she's naked too. After driving the truck into a tree, so she drives away, slams it into a tree, of course, what else would you do? She manages to reach the parish road where she lost control of her vehicle again. And so she runs it into a tree. She gets it out of the tree. Then she runs it into a ditch. Now she's stuck. So she gets dressed. She gets out of the truck where she left the engine and lights on. She took Bragg's clothes, started walking down the road. Approximately half a mile, she threw the clothes down the road. At this point, Craig Harris, whose brother we saw come on and talk, and elegantly and succinctly, if I do say so myself. Now, he came by in his company truck, and he had seen the wreck and stopped to ask Griffin, "Hey, yo, you okay? Like, let me help you out." She pointed the pistol at him. She forced him out of the truck, and then she fired 2 shots at him, one which struck Harris in the head. So think about this. This woman takes her lover out to a road, bangs twice in the head, in a way to make sure he would never get up again, then does it to a second man. A short time later, a passenger motorist found him, was on the side of the road, brought to the hospital, but he didn't make it. When the police investigated the disturbance at the house, the information obtained from Braggs led to the issuance of ABP for the arrest of Griffin. The next day was found hiding in a bathtub of her friend's house in Arkansas and arrested and returned to Louisiana. Griffin was indicted on charges of first degree, and they sought the ultimate penalty. But was given life. And that's it I have on this. We didn't get information on this case as to I didn't feel we got anything out of her. Why did you do it? Tell me, what was the reason for, she was just very nonchalant. I don't know. I just did it. I shouldn't have done it. There's one, I was on a lot of Coca-Cola. What's interesting is that you would think she could have said, I was tripping, paranoid. I thought I was being, all of these things, which maybe you can say, okay, that's possible. You got on a really bad trip but it didn't seem like she was even taking that angle. It really just seemed like she was saying, I don't know, I just, whatever. I was out of my mind. I didn't sense any emotion. I didn't sense any regret. I didn't see any, we've seen people who take these hearings who they are crying. They shake up. They feel remorse. They understand that what they hate themselves for what they did. They get anxiety thinking about how they ruined, at least for themselves, how they ruined their own lives and how they ruined everything. And there was just nothing here. It's just, I don't know, I shot them. Then all of her bad write-ups, the whole thing with she hasn't had much time in her prison. It's no, she's been in the same place for 30 years. It was the warden was trying to it almost felt like some type of manipulation. No, she's been there for 30 years. There was a flood, a few years ago. We've seen how many interviews from this exact prison. None of them have this problem. They've all done programs. They've all been in for life. So I don't know what was going on there and what they were talking about, as if trying to change history. Then our buddy here, I don't think I've ever been impressed with him. Norris Henderson, we see him quite often. And, the way I see it, I could be wrong, but it's a business. It's like the Parole Project. It's a business, right? He wants her to get out because she will sign up for 6 months. So he has real estate that he needs to fill vacancies for. He's approved under these programs to put inmates in there. And that's 6 months of guaranteed money at top dollar, above market price, plus whatever the other subsidies that he gets to handle her. So it's a business deal. when she gets rejected, that place is going to sit empty for 6 months. He needs to find another tenant. So, he's there as part of a business deal. But I don't think he spoke well on her behalf. I mean, he literally starts to say, I started laughing when I heard about those write-ups, and then tries to describe how it happened. Yeah, I get that happened. I think the parole board gets how it happens too. You get in a spit for spat with a correctional officer, and the correctional officer says, do it again, and you'll get another one. And then they do it again. But that's on the inmate's fault. The inmate needs to be mature enough to stop talking. And if you don't, you'll get all the write-ups. It's not funny. It's on the inmate. He brings things up as if he's trying to educate the board, as if the board is naive to what's going on. They know what's going on. And then her other answer, why did you get in that? Oh, well, it was a staged fist fight. I wanted to get shipped out. It could be true. You hear about those things happening. But the board doesn't care. I don't think they care. Yeah, in my opinion, I think she's dangerous. Then the cherry on the cake here is that, until maybe I'm overtired and I'm mixing cases, but I'm pretty sure she has 2 children, which she has no relationship with. For me, that's just always a huge red flag. That's kind of that's typically a big tell. No, I mean, I didn't see anything. So let's go do another hearing, which is, there's a specific hearing I have in mind, and that's because this man, I think, is similar in certain ways of psychopathy. And again, I don't have any degrees, and it's just my opinion. I'm not diagnosing anyone, as Dr. Grande would say. Let's see. I think it's what was it? This one. Hold on while I pull this up. It's a little slow. I'm sorry. Why is it so slow? Come on, guys, you can do better than this. I'll put the links in the description for all this as usual. Also, what do you think about this new layout where they go in and out? I like having the close-up of the board, but it's just it's too many moving parts. It's too fancy. I just liked it the way it was. I feel like it's just creating issues. Keep it simple, stupid. You see, it's also harder to navigate. I don't know which hearing they're up to because I can only. Is this the hearing I wanted to do? Now I'm a little. Well, I think it is. Let's do it.
The pardon board will resume at 2:18. Our next case is Mr. Adam Harminter. Mr. Harminter, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Adam Joseph Armature Jr., 105202.
Mr. Harminter, let me explain our process to you. We're going to conduct a pardon interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who wish to have input to have their say. Here today on your behalf, speaking on your behalf, is your niece Danielle Copeland, your sister Tony Broussard, your attorney Franz Borgart, and also here but not speaking is Jonathan Broussard, Rebecca Bell, Terry Ann Richardson, and Shirley Jensen Denise, and Denise Foster. Okay. In opposition, we have speaking Doreen Batto, the victim's sister, Lois Batto, the victim's mother, Scott Ryder, the victim's spouse, not speaking, Corliss Batto, Bonnie Batto, Tana Ryder, and Father Kevin Batto.
Mr. Friday is the brother.
Got spouse, all right. Mr. Armenter, I'm going to read some information into the record. This is Adam J. Armenter Jr., DOC number 105202.
Okay, I realized I had the wrong one that I wanted to show you. So I apologize for that. Normally I would try to do edits, but I don't have great editing software, so I will just thank you for hanging in there with me. I do need to invest in
These cases.
editing software, but I want to show you two like similar cases. So I thought
Our next case is going to be Mr. Ferrell Guidry. Mr. Guidry, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
My name is Ferrell Guidry.
And your DOC number?
Sir,
Your DOC number?
94162.
Thank you very much. Mr. Guidry, let me explain our process to you. We're going to do a pardon interview with you. We're going to question you a little bit, and then at that time, we'll allow anyone who wishes to speak on your behalf or in opposition. Today, we have your niece, Ms. Jennifer Rodriguez, who wishes to speak on your behalf. Once we have that hearing, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board before we vote. Do you understand our process?
Sir.
This is the matter of Ferrell Guidry, DOC number 94162, date of birth August 13th of 1953. He's a second-class offender. He is currently serving a life sentence on the charge of second-degree murder, having been sentenced on April the 24th of 1981, as well as simple escape, attempted simple escape, having been sentenced on March the 4th of 1982. Mr. Guidry, is all of that information accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Guidry, your case has been assigned to Ms. Bonnie Jackson. She will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Guidry. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Ma'am, I cannot understand what you're saying.
I said, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay. Are you having trouble hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes I do have a problem hearing, but my hearing goes in and out.
Okay. Well, I'll try to speak up, all right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
How old are you, Mr. Guidry?
I'm 69 years old.
And how long have you been incarcerated on these charges? Years. How many years? 42 years. So you were 29 when you committed the crime. Is that correct? The murder, you had the escape attempt later, but you were 27 when you committed the crime?
I was 27.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to help me. You're gonna have to help me and the board understand what happened. Why you went to the bridal shop and why you were planning to kill somebody. Tell us about that.
Okay, ma'am. The wife of the owner of the bridal shop supposedly wanted her husband dead. She wanted her husband killed. And I don't know if it was a boyfriend or a friend of hers came to me and offered me money. And I said I could do it. So and then a couple of weeks later.
Well, let's stop right there. Before we get to what actually happened, why would you agree to kill somebody for money?
He offered me some money. I wasn't doing, but I was doing bad at the time, and I just agreed to do it.
Well, how much money were you supposed to get for taking somebody's life?
$20,000, ma'am.
And so you put a value on a human being's life at $20,000?
I wasn't thinking at the time, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, you were, because you made some plans and preparations and you thought about the offer, you agreed to the offer. So what would make you willing to kill somebody? A lot of people do, have financial difficulties. What do you think made you agree to kill a person for money?
I don't know, ma'am. I don't know why I did it. Till this day, I regret doing what I did. And
Let's talk about then because you didn't actually kill the owner, you killed the deputy who happened to be sitting in the owner's office. Is that correct?
he was sitting in the office, yes, ma'am, where the owner of the place was supposed to be.
Okay, well, let's walk us through what happened when you went to the bridal shop.
I was told to go to the place that night, and he was gonna be in his office doing some paperwork. And I went in and I walked to the office and I shot the man.
Did the man have on a uniform?
Ma'am,
Did the man have on a uniform?
I don't remember, ma'am. I cannot tell you. I didn't even know the man's name that I killed until after I was locked up.
Well, what about the clerk, the female that worked at the bridal shop? You shot her as well, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am, she scared me.
She scared you?
Yes, ma'am.
How was she? Go ahead.
I was supposed, that place was supposed to be empty the night I went in it. It wasn't supposed to be nobody in there except the owner of the place.
All right.
And this person came out of nowhere running at me. I didn't know who it was.
But you could tell it was a female, right?
No, ma'am,
Why not, Mr. Guidry?
because I just shot at her. I just shot, ma'am. I'm not denying it. I just shot at her.
Maybe you shot because you didn't want anybody to identify you as having killed the person in the owner's office.
Say that again, ma'am. I didn't.
You had already killed someone when you shot this lady, right? Who did you shoot first?
I shot the woman first.
And even after you shot her, you proceeded to go and kill somebody else?
I walked in the place. I looked for the man. I couldn't find the man. I heard a sound behind me. And when I turned, I seen somebody in the office and I shot.
Well, Mr. Guidry, I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody who's been so matter of fact about shooting two people. So after you shot both people, what did you do next?
What did I do after I left the place and I went to a place in the Rose, a restaurant, and that's where I was arrested at.
Well, how were they able to find you so quickly?
I don't know, ma'am. I do not know.
Did you ever get the $20,000?
No, ma'am.
So you just shot two people and killed one for nothing?
I shot two people.
The lady that worked in the bridal shop? Or you shot at her, if you, the lady that worked in the bridal shop, and then the deputy that you say you thought was the owner.
All right, ma'am.
And you got absolutely nothing out of doing that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, had you attempted to kill him, the owner, 3 weeks prior?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that.
The same person wanted me to, it started back then. Before, what, 2-3 months before? The person that hired me got the gun and the knife and everything. And he kept bugging me about it. His name is in the paperwork.
I understand that, but you're the one who did the act.
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do 3 weeks prior to try to kill the owner?
Ma'am, I didn't understand what you said.
How did you try to kill the owner the first time?
First time, I cut him with a knife. I didn't try to kill him. I cut him. I cut him in the hand with a knife.
Why? Because you were hired to kill him, so why would you just be cutting him in the hand with a knife?
Maybe I could have subdued him, the man. I don't know, ma'am. But the man got it, but the man got away from him.
So tell us about the attempted escape.
That happened after I was up here, a few months after I was up here. I was going after the man that had hired me. That's why I jumped the fence when I did.
And when you were going to go after him to do what?
Ma'am?
Why were you going to go after the man who hired you?
Because he lied to me. I gave a 16-page confession to the sheriff's office. And I gave the man's name. And they had an investigation. And they lied in the investigation.
They who?
The owner of the place, his wife, and the man that hired me.
What did the owner of the place lie about?
Say again, ma'am?
What did the owner of the place lie about?
He said I was a homosexual.
So, Mr. Guidry, let's move on. You've been incarcerated for over 40 years. You work on the road crew, is that correct? What is your job? How long have you worked on the road crew?
Ma'am?
How long have you worked on the road crew?
20 years, ma'am. Since 2003.
And what is your job?
Right now, I'm a clerk.
Okay? What does that involve?
What that involves is I'm the one that, whenever a part's needed for machinery or something, it breaks down, I'm the one that finds it in the catalogs and the parts manuals because of my background as a mechanic.
Okay. You've had 32 write-ups, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The last one is in 2002. What was that for?
Disobedience, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, what happened?
I had 4 days extra duty.
No. What was the disobedience?
And I don't remember that long ago. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember.
Fine. Tell me, I see that you took substance abuse, living imbalance 1 and 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you on drugs? Were you a user of drugs and alcohol before you committed these crimes?
No, ma'am, but I was asked by classification to take it and to put it in my jacket.
So you never had a problem, you just took it for the credit?
No, ma'am. The only medication I've taken is the medication I have to take for my epilepsy.
No. I said, you didn't take living imbalance because you needed it, you took it so that you could get some credit for the class, right?
The classification recommended it to me.
Well, normally they recommend it when there's evidence that a person or an indication that a person has a substance abuse problem. Because there are a lot of people who actually have substance abuse problems who are waiting to get into these programs. So I'm having a hard time understanding why classification would tell you to take substance abuse class when you say you never had a substance abuse problem.
If you want, ma'am, if you want to call smoking a substance abuse problem, I used to smoke once upon a time.
I don't want to call that a substance abuse problem. You also took anger management, cage your rage.
Yes, ma'am.
Why'd you take that?
For the same, it was recommended for me to take it at the same time, both of them.
Did you think you had an anger problem?
Sometimes I do get mad, yes, ma'am.
Everybody gets mad, but that's not the same thing as having an anger problem. An anger problem is when you get mad and you can't control your temper and you can't control how you respond to the situation.
Yes,
So
yes,
did you have an anger problem?
All right. I don't have a problem like that, ma'am.
Okay.
I can control my anger.
Okay, well, what about victim awareness? Did you take victim awareness?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that. Why'd you take
It was
that?
recommended to me. It was recommended to me.
You didn't think you needed to take it?
Ma'am?
You didn't think you needed to take victim awareness?
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad I took it because I learned some stuff when I took it.
Well, good. Let me hear some stuff you learned.
I learned that my actions that night affected the family of my victim, his friends, community, my family, my friends.
Okay.
Before that, ma'am.
Before that, what?
Before that, I hadn't never thought about that.
You never thought about when you kill somebody.
With my actions.
You never thought about before you took this class, it never occurred to you that when you kill somebody, you affect a lot of people's lives. That never occurred to you?
At the time, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Other than work, what do you do in the prison? Other than your job, what other things do you do at the prison?
Well, when I went to Road 11, or do you know what at my present job?
No, I said besides work, what other activities have you
Oh,
been?
my activity. I don't, I work in a hobby shop and I don't do that much in the prison now.
Okay. So you've never done any kind of, what's the SOC club?
Oh, that was back in the 90s, the 80s, 90s.
What was that?
I took some law classes and everything else. I took some classes.
Okay. Okay. If you were to be successful, Mr. Guidry, what's your plan? If you were to be successful today at getting a recommendation for commutation, what would be your plan if you got out?
Well, I plan to go back home if the district attorney doesn't oppose me, and I want to live with my sister, and work at OR Farms, which is a small animal farm, taking care of some. Other than that, I just want to. I don't have any other plans, ma'am.
Well, you do have opposition. You have the opposition from the West Feliciana DA, the Lafourche DA. You have opposition from the victim's daughter. So you've got a lot of opposition.
Yes, ma'am.
Warren, what can you tell us about Mr. Guidry?
Yes, ma'am. I can tell you that the write-up for the Rule 4 that you asked him about, it was not getting up for count.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he went to the hobby shop and was supposed to come in for sundown count. And he got the Rule 4. And for narcotic and alcohol use on his admission summary, he indicated that he didn't use it, neither one of them. So I don't know why the social service worker would put him in substance abuse, because he said on his admission summary that he didn't have any problem with alcohol and drugs.
All right, thank you, Ms. Marvell.
Thank you. Any other questions? Now we'll hear from your niece, Miss Jennifer Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. If you would please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your uncle.
Hi, I am Jennifer Rodriguez. I'm 38. I only know my uncle in prison. I have learned a lot from him, knowing him through phone conversations and meeting him at the prison for visitations and through the rodeos and things. And I feel like he has grown a lot in the last 20-something years of my adult life, that I'm able to get to know him better, and has become a much better person, much more understanding and compassionate. And I feel like he's truly remorseful for the things he's done. And I hope that that he can continue to better himself and become a good citizen in society.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rodriguez. We appreciate your comments. Mr. Guidry, is there anything you'd like to say before the panel votes?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Mr. Guidry, I had hoped that your interview today would convince me to take a chance on you. You're 69 years old, you've been in prison for 42 years. But I don't think you've learned a lot in the last 42 years. You don't seem to grasp the seriousness of taking somebody's life. You don't seem to, I don't know that you're ready. You know, you've taken programs, but you only took them because you say classification suggested you take them, and you didn't feel any need for the classes, and obviously you didn't get anything out of the classes. And so I just don't think you have a good disciplinary record. Your work in the road crew is good. You got a good report from your supervisor. I just don't think you've done enough to work on yourself and to figure out, you know, what would make you be willing to kill somebody just for money, somebody you didn't even know, somebody you didn't even recognize enough to know that the person you shot wasn't the intended victim. I just don't think you're ready, Adrian. I don't think you have a transition plan in place, and I just think you need some more work. Our vote today is denied.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Rucker.
Mr. Chairman, my vote is the same for the same reason.
Mr. Freeman.
I concur.
Mr. Guidry, I think Judge Jackson wrapped up all of our beliefs and feelings today. I mean, your interview did not go very well at all. I think you really do need to take some more programs and sort of look introspectively, look inside and see what you really did. I didn't get the impression that you even have feelings about what you did. And that's scary to me. So you have 4 unanimous votes to deny your recommendation for a pardon. So you got some work to do. Good luck to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great, that is definitely worse than these on them. Great. I think, oh, I don't keep bringing now.
He's not. Excuse me.
Man, we got left.
Well, he talked about understanding victim awareness.
Yeah.
You know, but then he said he didn't realize that until he took.
A little bit of a hot mic there until they caught it. I always find it pretty fascinating when they chat about it, you know. So here's my my unboxing or my take on this, and it's just, you know, but I think he might be maybe the most honest person we have seen come up for one of these hearings. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying that makes him a good person or a bad person. I just think that he was being completely honest. He wasn't trying to say anything to make it look better for him. I think that we are looking at a sociopath, someone antisocial, someone who really in a different lifetime could have been like a master hitman for like a mafia. You know, he's the kind of guy that has his set of codes. You give him an order, you take out this person. It's $600 to take him out. He's gonna he'll take out that person. The guy might have $14,000 on him, but he'll only take the $600 that he's owed, leave the rest in the pocket, go on and do another job. I mean, that's just like the picture that was drawn for me here. I mean, someone who really doesn't have feelings, doesn't feel empathy, doesn't understand human empathy. And what makes him different than other type of, I guess, sociopaths is that he's not in the game to manipulate other people. That's not what he's interested in doing. I think he just has a certain idea of what's right and wrong for him. And like, to the extent when he finds out that the person who hired him lied, and then to him, insult to injury, called him, like he said, without any hesitation, without any awareness of how it just wouldn't have helped him at this time, he called me a homosexual. You know, it makes sense in my mind. It plays out. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm speculating, but he's hired to do the thing. He then confesses in a full statement. The detectives go to interview those people, and they say, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I have to admit, we were having an affair and he wanted to get rid of my wife or something. I don't know. And that's why. Maybe they felt the need to make something up like that. And he got so mad, he escaped from prison to finish him off. That's like, again, out of a movie, like an assassin guy, right? Oh man, that guy must have been terrified when he got the phone call that this man had escaped. I guess some of the problems with this theoretical story I have is that he seems to be an incredibly inept assassin. First, he goes in with a knife, doesn't get the job done, comes back 6 weeks later or something, and takes out two of the wrong people. So the guy was obviously would not have had a very successful career working for the mafia as a hitman, but that's the personality kind of profile that I see here. You know, and I draw the parallels to the earlier case with Pamela in the sense that I don't think Pamela was being honest, but just they both seem to have a complete inability to empathize, show emotions. They don't even seem to try to care to pretend, right? There are no tissues. There are no, for Pamela, she had a box of tissues. She never touched it. There are no tears being shed. There's no voice isn't being choked up. And in this case, he just seems to be like, whatever. Oh, I went to classes because they told me I had to go to classes. Oh, I never thought about that if I took someone's life that there would be, anything bad, but the classes made me realize, yeah, they have family and stuff. But it's more like for him, it's like an acknowledgement that could even be, but not a feeling, not an emotional, like, oh my gosh, I caused so much pain and suffering. Just didn't seem to get it. It's like you're living a life where his mind, his brain, his everything is tuned differently than most of the world. And that's very dangerous. I tried finding information on this case and I couldn't. I don't know. You would think it would have been something there, but maybe because of his confession, it never went to trial. He just took the plea deal. But yeah, it's like, well, I was going to get paid 20 grand and guy went, he was bad at it. First he takes the knife, he doesn't. Then he goes in and he shoots a deputy, and I'm guessing the deputy was hired because someone had come in earlier and tried to knife him. Anyways, that was just my thoughts on this. I don't know how you feel, but it was a tough interview. It was like pulling teeth, Miss Jackson. Every other word, it was like, what did you say? And it's like, how are you able to hear? But again, I think he was being honest. He said straight up, my hearing goes in and out. I don't think it was a manipulation thing. We do see people who manipulate and say what, and it's so clear that they're doing it to buy themselves time, where they came into the hearing like that was going to be their strategy to get around questions that they didn't want to answer. In this case, he just might have weird hearing, or he might have like attention deficit, and he just simply spaces out and doesn't hear the question. But I thought that this was insightful, and love to hear your thoughts. I am often wrong. Most important is that we don't have an echo chamber in here, but with that, please do the algorithm thing. It means a lot, and I'll see you soon.